Hello, my name's John. This is the Chaplain and Vanguard Veterans Squad from Warhammer 40,000 Armageddon, and you're watching Wargames, Models, and Other Hobbies. Hello and welcome back to another video. Today I am converting some of the models from Warhammer 40,000 Armageddon. They are now also some of the models that you will find in the starter sets for Warhammer 40,000 Space Marines, so you don't have to have the Armageddon box set to be able to do these conversions. Let's just jump straight into it. So I have partially made the Vanguard Veteran Squad from the box set. I've just push fit them together. I'm going to glue bits onto them, so we'll glue the seams and things later on. But I'm going to convert this squad of Vanguard Veterans into a squad of Blood Angel Death Company with jump packs. So I've got various different parts that I want to add to these. I'm also going to start out with a little conversion on the jump pack chaplain that comes in the box set. So we're going to start with that. So I've put this chaplain together, except for a shoulder pad just there. You can see the little nub there. Now what I do have, just off camera, is a set of the old Death Company Space Marines still on the sprues. I'm going to use them for a different project, but there are component parts on this that I want to use for this set. So the first thing I want to do is select an appropriate shoulder pad for this chaplain. So looking at the choices that we have, I'm thinking of going with the Angel with the Chalice of Blood, but we'll see what it looks like first. So let's trim it off the base. It might be a little bit too much for this model. It might look right, but that's the whole point of the video. We're doing the conversion in real time to work out if it's going to work. Now I'm going to have to cut some of the stalk off, or not actually. I think, let's try and get this in focus. I do quite like that because some of it is kind of hidden as it goes on, and it's quite a nice contrast, that whole kind of angelic shoulder pad compared to the more brutalist look of the chaplain. So let's tidy that up a little bit, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue it on that little stub with some sprue glue that I've got. So if you're not familiar with sprue glue, it is melted plastic inside a pot of glue. So you get the liquid polycement, you apply bits of sprue to it, it melts it, it makes it thicker, and you have sprue glue. So I've put it on the inside of the shoulder pad and on the little rod. And what I'm going to do is just put this now to one side, and we'll have a look at it at the end of the video. What I will do to keep it in a correct position while I convert the other models, I'm going to stick it to a bit of blue tack so it kind of stays in the right position for what I want. So you can't see what I'm doing right now off camera. I'm just lining that all up. There we go. Okay. So let's have a look at the models. First one we have here is the Vanguard Veteran, which has the power sword moulded as part of the model. I was originally thinking of cutting this off, but I think I'm going to leave this on so it is a power sword wielding Death Company member. But I am going to use a hand flamer from the Death Company set to put on there for this model. So first things first, got to trim that little nub off and tidy that up. And when making all of these, I didn't attach any of the heads or any of the arms where it's said to. I will use some of the original heads, but I will trim the stalks off to kind of mean I can position them a little bit easier as I flick my scalpel off the bench. But I caught it. That could have been a interesting injury. So a little bit of glue on there, and because of the temperature at the moment, I'll put a bit of glue on the other side as well. Now the thing with the old Space Marine kits and the new Intercessor, well, Primaris scale Space Marines, is the arms are slightly different lengths. In this pose, you're not going to really see, just because the arms are outstretched, but in other poses sometimes it does become quite blatant. I'm just having a look at which head this one had, and that was number 2. So let's have a quick look on the sprue. So it's that one just there. Now I'm not going to use that head, mainly because it has a veteran marking on the head itself, and I kind of want to keep those for other projects, so I will go straight to replacing that with a Death Company head from the old kit. So let's put this in place. And I'm positioning it to be looking in the direction of the hand flamer. So I'm envisaging that this Vanguard Veteran squad has been fighting on Armageddon quite a lot, and they have been affected by what they've seen and are now suffering from the Black Rage. Right, let's go for I'm going to go for that shoulder pad. So wherever there is a space for a shoulder pad, I'm going to put a Death Company shoulder pad in place. I'm not going to worry about scraping off iconography from all the different parts of the models. I'm going to make an assumption that they've been left on by law. When I say law, I mean the law of the kind of the universe. Generally, all markings are taken off the Death Company and they're left with blood drops, crosses and things like that. But I'm not going to worry too much, as this is just a nice quick conversion. Let's make sure that's on camera. So there we go. There is Death Company member number 1. So I'm going to put that to one side. I'm going to keep an eye on it that it doesn't move while it is drying. Now the next one, this is the Vanguard Veteran, which has the big power sword, but I'm going to replace that with a power fist and heavy bolt pistol. So let's trim off the stalks, the nubs from the arms, and make sure they're flat. Now that is moving quite a bit, so what I'm going to do, when I put the glue on, I'm going to capillary action and push that a little bit. So let's put that power fist in place. And this power fist is from, I think it is the Primaris Assault Squad sprue, so it is the right scale. And that is all holding in place. And while that's going on, let's go for some shoulder pads. Now I was looking at what other conversions I could do with the Armageddon set and the new Space Marine sets, and to be honest, there's not many that I kind of want to do. I have done that previous video on the Captain, which I ended up just doing a very simple conversion, got him just here, of removing the shield and just having an arm and a Blood Angel shoulder pad. Okay. So that is going to have that shoulder pad there. And so this guy's going to look, rather than him shooting or swiping, he's going to be kind of either just taken off or just crashing down. In that kind of position. And gotta think of which head to put on this, and I have an idea. There we go. And I think looking through the sprues, here we go. There are some bear heads for these ones, and I'm going to go for, oh, get it in focus, this one just here. So it's quite easy to create a custom squad very quickly with just a few spare parts. So there we have, oh, go and focus, the next member of this Death Company squad. Right, let's put that to one side and bring on the next one. Here we go, this is the next Vanguard veteran, and this one is going to be a bolt pistol. This is from the Push Fit Assault Intercessor squad, and then this sword. Right, I think what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to edit the sword that this one originally has, which is this one here, which is 25. So let's just clip that off. And before I push fit this in, I'm going to trim down the chainsword off that one, and then likewise trim off the power sword from there. And let's tidy that up a little bit. And then also you'll have the correct campaign badge on the wrist. Okay, let's hold that in place for a bit. Okay, let's put that to one side just to dry for a bit. And this is going to be, this is, as it's from the push fit one, you can see it's got a hole. That's not going to fit in to this model itself. So, just having a little think, I've got another one just here. I'm thinking I'm going to put this one to one side for a little bit because I want that other arm to dry and I want to position the pistol correctly. So I've got, let's jump to straight to the next one, and this is a plasma pistol and chainsword. So I'm not sure which of these models I want to put it on, so let's have a little... I'm going to put it on the one that's solidly landed down on the ground. Needed a safety squint on that. Again, this is moving quite a bit as I trim it, so I probably will have to check these to glue them a little bit better once I've done these little conversions. I want to make sure that this is that's working. Bring that one back a little bit. There we go. So again, I want 2 shoulder pads for this, and I am going to go with the skull one there with the blood drops, and then I will go for a Blood Angels icon. I'm aware that they don't have to have them, but I think this will work. That one, and that one. Now, head wise, I am going to reach over here and have a look what I've got just off camera. I have some intercessors. Let's have a look if I've got any intercessor heads. Yes, I do. So what I'm looking for is just the plain intercessor heads rather than anything with the veteran markings or anything like that. Any mould lines and things like that I will adjust and tweak later on. There's that third one, brilliant. Right, let's go back to this one and push fit that arm in place. I've got another arm that might work for this actually. Yeah, I'm gonna... Does that work? Yeah, okay. Let's trim off that nub. Carefully cut that smooth. Ooh. Actually, let's take the jump pack off now. Makes it a little bit easier. And then this pistol is going to sit nicely there. Now this is just going to have 2 plain shoulder pads because I'm not going to cut shoulder pads off in this video. It does mean it will give quite a nice, interesting, almost completely black model when I get round to painting these. If you'd like to see a video of me painting these Death Company Marines. As I always say, drop it in the comments, hit a like. If you're liking my real-time content, you can always subscribe to the channel. If you don't want to though, it's fine by me. Let's get a... Let's do another intercessor head. Oh, it's got quite a big seam line. Let's quickly scrape that off. So, at the time of filming this video, Armageddon's been out about 2 weeks. Starter sets have just gone up for pre-order. So they will be out now. And I think in one of the starter sets you can get these Vanguard Veterans. So if you want to, you can convert as I am doing. There we go. Okay, that's the 4th one done. Let's have a look at the final one. So here we have the final Space Marine, and I think, yeah, this one is definitely going to be shooting this bolt pistol. If you heard that, that went way over there. I should take a little bit more care when I'm doing that. But hey, when I'm in the middle of winging a conversion, so I need to put some sprue glue in this. There we go. Right. Yeah, that works. Let's have a look at what okay. Do I have an appropriate arm for this? Right, while that's drying, let's have a look at the different heads that this squad has. Yeah, that'll work. Let's find... That's the one I want. And as with all of my push fit models, I always trim the tail off the head so you can position it how you want it exactly. There is a bit of hair on there, but that's now gone. So what I will do at the end of this video is a little photo gallery of this converted squad so you can see it. Now what I think I'm going to do, I have here a leftover sprue of Space Wolves, and looking at one of these I think it's going to work perfectly. If there's any Space Wolf iconography I'm going to have to take it off, but this chainsaw just here, no, that is a plain chainsaw, so that's going to be perfect, and it means I get to use another Death Company shoulder pad on this chap. Oh, so I knock him over. Okay. Is it the wrong? It's probably the wrong hand for this arm. No, it's fitting. It's okay. hold that in place for a little bit. Right, while that is drying, let's have a look at some more of the Death Company shoulder pads, and I've seen the one that I want. So I still got quite a bit to make in the Armageddon box set, so we'll do a few more videos on making, but it's quite nice to stick a converting video into the middle of this lot. Okay, let's trim off the stalk. Okay. I do hope most of this has been on camera. Most of it, all of it. That works. That does work. Let's get that on there. Perfect. Okay. Let's just put this one to one side and we'll have a look at each of the models. So let's start with the Chaplain. Let's zoom in a little bit. There we go. So there is the Chaplain, built as a standard Chaplain straight from the box, except we've put that shoulder pad just there. We then have that Marine still with the original power sword, but different head, and then that flamer pistol. Like I said, I will put some photos at the end of the video. Tuning in. My name's John. There we have. And you've been watching Wargames, Power Fist wielding, and other hobbies. Marine there with the head replacement. Just there. And we have the crashed down Marine with a plasma pistol firing, and that chainsword. We then have the sword replacement, so he's landing and swinging that chainsword. And then finally we have flying through the air, shooting a bolt pistol with that chainsword there. So I think, which are my favourite? I think these are my two favourites, Power Fist and the Hand Flamer, because they do look so different from the originals. But anyway, like I said, I am going to put a set of photos at the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed this little conversion of the Armageddon Blood Angel Vanguard Veterans. But for now, all I can say is thank you so much for tuning in. My name's John, and you've been watching Wargames, Models, and Other Hobbies.